Good morning, grade 10 advanced. Today we are going to take a new lesson in unit 7, lesson 12. The title of our lesson is What is a restaurant critic? What is a restaurant critic? Our learning objectives for this lesson: in speaking, to develop learners' ability to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of different jobs; in reading, to develop learners' ability to read and select key points from a short descriptions; in writing, to develop learners' ability to use linkers in a short, persuasive article. By the end of this lesson, learners will be able to take part in a discussion about the good and bad points of different jobs, read a variety of job descriptions, to write an article about the advantages and disadvantages of a particular job. Our lesson in course book page 56, workbook pages 40 and 41. We have key vocabulary here, like manager. What's the meaning of manager? Manager, the person who is responsible for managing an organization. Again, manager is the person who is responsible for managing an organization. Pastry chef, a professional cook who specializes in making desserts, especially cakes and pastries. Host is a noun, a person who receives or entertains other people as guests. Host as verb, act as host at an event or for a television or radio program. Baker. Of course, we know who is baker. Baker is a person who makes bread and cakes, especially commercially. Barista. Barista is a person whose job involves preparing and serving different types of coffee. Street vendor, a person who sells something in the street. Something in the street. We have some adverbial linkers here, like furthermore, however, instead, despite, moreover. Let's start our lesson with 3 questions. First one, what is a food critic? Of course, in the previous lesson 11, we had known the meaning of food critic. Food critic is a writer who analyzes food or restaurants and then publishes the results of his or her findings in a magazine. What do they do? Of course, we know now. Would you like to be a food critic? Some would say yes, others would say no. In our lesson, we have 2 activities. Activity 4 in course book page 56. This activity is talking about speaking. Read the headings of the 3 advertisements. Do you know what these people do? Read the job information. Make a list of the good and bad points of each job. Activity 5. Use the notes you made in activity 4 to write a short article about one of the jobs. You should talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the job. Say if you think it is a good or bad job to have. Give reasons for your views. Linking words to pursue the reader to agree with your viewpoints. In our lesson, we have 3 types of linking words. Number 1, linking words to express contrasting, like, however, despite, in spite of, although, even though, instead. Number 2, linking words to add information, like furthermore, moreover, and also, to, as well as, in addition. 3, linking words to give information, like, for example, for instance, such as, you should have, you should know how to use them in each sentence. Okay, our homework on workbook workbook page 40 and 41, activities 2, 3 and 4. Let's move to our next step. Linking words to express contrasting, like however, despite, in spite of, although, even though, though. We should know the difference between however and although. However, it can stand by itself at the beginning of a sentence, with a comma after it. For example, however the weather was cold, we decided not to wear our jackets. Or you can say, we decided not to wear our jackets, however the weather was cold. However here means but, although it cannot stand by itself at the beginning of the sentence with a comma after it. For example, though the weather was cold, we decided not to wear our jackets. Or you can say, we decided not to wear our jackets although the weather was cold. Although here means though or even though. Although, even though, in spite of, and despite are all used to link contrasting ideas or show that one fact makes the other fact surprising. They can all be used at the beginning or in the middle of the sentence. The main difference between although, even though, in spite of, and despite is that they are used with different structures. Let's start with in spite of and despite. In spite of and despite, after them or after in spite of and despite we use a noun, gerund or pronoun. We have some examples here. They never made much money in spite of their success. In spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon. Despite having a headache, I had a great birthday. The train was cancelled. In spite of that, we arrived on time. Note that it is common to use in spite of and despite with the expressions the fact that, followed by a subject and a verb. For example, in spite of the fact that he worked very hard, he didn't pass the exam. Despite the fact that he worked very hard, he didn't pass the exam. Let's move to the next step. The structure after although or even though. After although and even though we use subject and a verb. Even though is slightly stronger and more emphatic than although. I enjoyed the course, though I would have liked more grammar practice. Although we saw each other every day, we didn't really know each other. Even though she spoke very quietly, he understood every word. She didn't get the job even though she had all the necessary qualifications. Though can be used in the same way as although. Though I wasn't keen on the film, I thought the music was beautiful. Though can also go at the end of the second phrase. This way of expressing contrasting ideas is most common in spoken English. We waited ages for our food. The waiter was really nice, though. Linking words to add information. We have furthermore. The house is beautiful. Furthermore, it is in a great location. So we add information, extra information. Moreover, marketing plans give us an idea. Moreover, they tell us about the market situation. Listening to the music helps us relax. Moreover, it can help to improve our memory. In addition to this way, we discussed about team building, and we spoke about training, sales, and the budget. We also spoke about sales projection, as well as we are interested in cost as well as quality. 2. I too concerned about the projection delay. Linking words to give information. We have such as: she has worked in several countries where English is spoken as the first language, such as Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and so on. For example, there are several problems to consider. For example, there is a lack of public transport. Last one, for instance, there are several problems to consider. For instance, there is a lack of public transport. Thank you for listening and watching to our video about lesson 12, and goodbye.